Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus pilot, and in today's video, after flying the fly-by-wire A320neo for a while, let's go back into the Fenix A320 and fly that one again. I'm sure we'll stumble upon many things that we previously thought were just natural and took for granted, which all of a sudden are not really taken for granted anymore, but I'm sure this will put us into a position to just appreciate some of the detail that Fenix is putting into this. And don't get me wrong, this video is in no means at all going to be a way to bash fly-by-wire or anything, quite the opposite instead. The fly-by-wire is an awesome airplane, especially with the latest virtual cockpit they've come up with, and most certainly considering it is freeware, we really have to say it is the best freeware that I've seen in my lifetime yet. However, obviously, looking at a payware like the Fenix is just going to be a slightly different level. Now, join me as we head right into our JetBlue Airbus A320 on a flight from New York JFK over to Boston Logan Airport. And we are going to start boarding right through the cabin, something that unfortunately doesn't really exist in the fly-by-wire, but maybe they're working on it with a bit of luck. So let's take a seat in the cockpit of our A320. The first thing that really strikes me here is how much more detailed the cockpit is. Now, first there's obviously the colors, which are a lot more correct. But then there's also just the level of detail. If you just look at the switches, for example, and look at the way you've got that side of the master caution button over here, and of course also that sound associated with those buttons. So definitely a lot of differences visible in the cockpit, and I tend to say that previously, before I started flying the fly-by-wire, that Fenix cockpit just became, taken for granted. But this really tells us that it is not. It is a superbly looking cockpit, and that's just pointing out right at the beginning over here. Okay then, let's start with our preliminary cockpit preparation. We'll do the typical stuff. So off, normal, off, down, off, more than 25.5. Batteries coming on, and then we can turn on the external power. Okay, so while the Airbus is starting up, let's go ahead and import our Simri flight, which is from JFK to Boston, JetBlue 318. And we are going to start heading right over into the pilot brief, having a look at the operational flight plan. Here again, the electronic flight bag of the fly-by-wire is very well made, has a big load of options, and does a lot of things that I could ask from an electronic flight bag. The Fenix just has that little extra, if you know what I mean. Okay, so having a look at the weather, Boston is reporting very good weather, and that's forecast to stay like that as well. In our departure, Kennedy International is looking just as good, so I don't see many reasons to take extra fuel here. So let's say they want us with 10.4 roughly, or 10.5, so let's take 11,000 pounds of fuel for our trip. Okay, so ground services, mass and balance of course. And then for the planned fuel, we're going to go at 11.5. The rest we'll take exactly as planned. Not a lot of passengers, as you can see, just 98 of them. The reason for that is that in the real world this flight is operated by Embraers, so I decided I am going to do it with a realistic load for such an Embraer, but just a tiny bit more so that it is really worth for the airline to change the airplane type onto the A320. That's my idea over here. Alright then, so we've got 1 to 2.8 active in COM 1, and then we'll take 1 to 1.5 in a COM 2. Like that, and we are listening to both of them. Okay, so APU fire test. Again here, note the slight delay in there when performing the test. Just one more of those items showing us how much love to detail went into this. Okay, it isn't exactly the warmest day outside, so what's the weather again? I do suppose we are going to start the APU. Yeah, 3 degrees. We are definitely going to start the APU. Here again, you put the master on, it takes a little while for the starter. Now what's going to be interesting to see is if the starter is going to come on nonetheless as soon as the APU inlet flap is open, or if we need to press it again. Now, I'm not sure if the A320 is different from the A330 there. On the A330 you have that delay as well, but the good news is, once you have already pressed the start button, it'll just come on by itself as soon as the flap is open. But looks like that's not the case on the either the Fenix or the 320, I'm not 100% sure about that. Okay, so then we simply go and start the APU ourselves. For the IRS, we got the older model here on the Fenix, which you can clearly see up here. The fly-by-wire features the more modern one that is naturally found in the Neo. However, most A320s have the modern one as well, so this is kind of a relic of the old EAS-1 days in the Fenix. Okay then, so our EFB versions are checked. Let's go ahead and do our airplane acceptance. So for 3 seconds we're going to press the recall. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's normal, very good. Logbook and MEL CDL items. We need to do flaps full landing, no config 3. And apart from that, aircraft configuration summary is checked, OEBs checked, there are none at the moment. And that's our aircraft acceptance completed. So let's go ahead and request ourselves some weather and initialize that flight. So data request in the works. Again, worth noting over here is that the model of the MCDU itself is a little more accurate than in the fly-by-wire. Okay, JFK, Meta, send. Okay, so here's our weather. Oh no, that thing is bugged at the moment, is it? Let's try that one more time. Receive weather. Yeah, it's bugged. Okay. So be it. Now let's just go over to the FMGC and quickly request our flight data. A320 CFM database current, very good. And init request. Okay, so then we'll just go straight over into the departure performance app and just do everything from here. JFK 31 left, synchronize preliminary, synchronize weather, view intersections, don't have any, then we take full length, calculate. Okay, performance limited. Interesting enough that this shows in kilogram rather than in pounds, but anyway, that is fine. Okay, cool. Then we can move down to the ECAM. Oxygen pressure is checked, hydraulic quantity checked, engine oil quantities looking good, a little bit more on the left than on the right side, but that's fine for our flight. Okay, flap lever does agree, speed brake lever is retracted and disarmed, then we can check our brake pressure accumulator. So park and brake off, let's do a manual brake application here. Depletes a little bit of the acupressure. Okay, set on the park and brake, and here we go. So that's looking good. Then let's quickly head outside for the walk around before we do our stuff inside. And the walk around is really something where the Fenix will of course shine. Now that can obviously just be pointed back to the simple fact that the fly-by-wire uses the Asobo model for large parts still, and of course a company that earns money with that stuff got a lot more resources to put into their outside models, and that is of course what's going to show on the Fenix. Now this over here is a view that I really appreciated when I just walked over here to position my camera prior to the video. Just look at the front of the airplane here and how gorgeous that looks. It's really an awesome model that Fenix came up with over here. Alright, so static ports, very crisp, very good looking texture. So it is really worth pointing out. Okay, engine is windmilling, so we can't really check anything. We can make sure the cowlings are latched, and then we can move ahead along our leading edge. Okay, that stuff is looking good. Then let's move forward a bit, check the wheels. What I'm somewhat missing over here is a 3D model of the brake wear pins. The A320 does have them, but it doesn't look like we have those in the simulator here. Oops, that was a little fast. Okay, so let's just go straight back down. I accidentally hit the reset button for the drone. So I'm still getting asked, like, how do you do those walkarounds? Well, this is how. Camera drone, drone speed 2, rotation speed 45. And as you can see, that is like the setting that I'm using all the time. Okay, so leading edge of stabilizer is looking good. Then we can move on to the back of the plane. Tail's good. APU outlet looking good. All the static wick dischargers are in place, and the leading edge is looking good. Okay, then let's move on to the front of the plane again. And the wheels are in good conditions. No damages, no signs of bird strikes. But look at that wear and tear that you've got on here. The front of the main gears is really an area where a lot of insects and everything just smashes into during the flight. So these are generally pretty dirty, and Fenix does a good job of showing that. I can't wait to see their new outside model to see what they might have even improved upon. Similarly, just one thing worth pointing out, have a look at the detailing on this wing. Isn't that just great? Okay, so everything looking good over here. Last thing for us to check is the static ports, and then we're basically done with our walkaround. So let's find ourselves our way back up. Well, they did retract the steps, so I do suppose we are just going to have to jump back in now. Well, this is going to do. Okay, cool. So we made our way back inside. Boarding should commence any moment. APU is available, so let's put the bleed on, and then we can commence our pre-flight. Probably going to use pack flow low. Okay, and that is what I meant in the video on the fly-by-wire, that when you put the batteries off and on again, the amperage really goes up as the charging cycle is initiated. Okay, refueling is complete, so let's turn on the fuel pumps, do the engine fire checks. Okay, and all of that stuff is looking good. So, unfortunately we can't change the stand per altimeter to inches, so what we'll have to do... Oh, we can, okay. Interesting. On the A330, sure enough, it's not coupled to the EFAS CP selector. But well, ain't gonna complain. So 3005 is what we're looking for. By the way, that date button over here, that's really something that fly-by-wire is doing better than Fenix, because that should show you your date. So today's the 2nd of January 2024, as I'm recording this. That should show you your date only while the switch is held. When you release it, it should immediately go back like that. Just a small thing there. Okay, econ pages, let's just quickly walk over everything. Another thing worth pointing out here is on the engine page, stuff like the oil quantity or the vibration and that should not be visible once the FADEC has turned off up here. So those down here should be X'd out as well. So just a quick run over the entire ecam, making sure that everything is correct. and as it should be. Did I ever mention I hate temperatures in Fahrenheit? But well, so be it. We'll have to live with those for today. Okay, then we can move further. Weather radar is looking good, TCAS is looking good on the left side. Okay, so let's continue with the FMS setup. So the route has automatically been uplinked, alternate is back to JFK, that's very good. Okay, so JetBlue 318 is going to be our call sign. JBU 318, then cost index 28 and cruising flight level 210. Okay, depart JFK runway 31 left. Here we are, JFK 5 departure, insert. Okay, then via Merritt. And that is all. From there we already joined the Roebuck 3 for runway 27 over in Boston. So ILS 27, let's find the Roebuck 3. There it is. Out of Merritt. Okay, perfect. Insert. So quick look over that flight plan. Let's find our charts as well at this point. That took a little while to initialize, didn't it? Okay, so JFK ground charts. Obviously we need that one, and then we're at Terminal 5, so... Where is it? That one? Yeah, that one. Okay, standing down here. Okay, and then we need our departure chart for the Kennedy 5 departure. Okay, top altitude of 5,000, and then we climb on the runway track, left turn towards Canarsie, or we might do an Idlewild climb. I do actually suppose we're going to take that Idlewild climb. So right turn 090, remain within 2.5 dm from JFK. Okay, so and our routing then is via Merritt, and from there we start the arrival. Just a quick look over everything, making sure that everything is okay in our route, and this is looking very good. Okay. So JFK going in here, as we will need that to remain within the 2.5 miles. Then KJFK 31 left is what we'll put in here. Secondary flight plan, copy active. So, our emergencies are going to go to JFK X6, and that is going to be KJFK 31 left slash, what's the runway heading? Here we go, 314 slash 25 miles ahead. So, the Fenix actually has a secondary flight plan compared to the fly-by-wire, which doesn't have it at all. However, it doesn't work correctly. So you can see I just entered my emergency waypoint, and all of a sudden it's just not there anymore. So I need to enter it again. And that is definitely incorrect behavior. Likewise, I can't insert it just on the top there, otherwise the entire route is going to be messed up. So there is definitely some some stuff in here that still needs, that could use some refinement. In any case, we do have a secondary flight plan, and we can use that to prepare our immediate return, so that's something good as well. Okay, so alright, that is our emergencies prepared. Then let's go over to the init page. At this moment in the real world I would go to the pilot routes, by the way, store active, and then we could check the route over here. Not implemented at all in the fly-by-wire and incorrectly implemented in the Fenix, so neither of the two is doing it correctly. At least not for the time being. With a bit of luck we might get an update. So So zero fuel weight is going to be 117.6, and in the lack of any load sheet we can just take a CG of 25, and then 11,000 pounds of fuel. Wind component is going to be 14 knots of a headwind there, so H14, and finally we can insert our fuel values. So alternate fuel 3.5, final reserve 2.1. So 3.5 and 2.1. Okay, very good. And how much taxi fuel do we have? 381. So 0.4 is correct. Very good. Okay, gives us 12 minutes of extra fuel there. Then let's go to the performance and enter what we already calculated. Here we go. So we got 31, 31, 32 with a flap 3 takeoff. Wow. Wonder why they want us to do that. So flaps 3, 68 degrees flex temperature. Then our speeds are going to be 31, 31, 32. That is not quite what I expected. But if they want us to do that, then we can absolutely do it. Okay, and we're going to accelerate and reduce our thrust at 1,000 each. And 1520 for the engine out acceleration is fine. Next phase looking good. Okay, so over here everything is good now. Okay, and with that our FMS setup is completed. Okay. So then our boarding was just finished, so I will quickly talk to the passengers. And they did already close the doors, so we gotta close the flight deck door as well. Ladies and gentlemen, very good evening from flight deck. This is your captain speaking. My name is Emmanuel. In the name of JetBlue, you're all welcome aboard our flight to Boston. Flight time today about 35 minutes, and we expect a smooth ride in 21,000 feet. We'd like to thank you very much for being our guests today. Sit back, relax, enjoy the trip with us. And finally, the cabin crew have 3 primary tasks on board of this Airbus A320 aircraft. Number 1, your safety. Number 2, your safety. Number 3, your personal safety. And if after those 3 tasks they still find a little bit of extra time, they might actually do a coffee service on this flight. Thank you very much for your attention. Sit back, relax, enjoy the ride with us. If there's anything we can do for you to make it more enjoyable, don't hesitate to ask any of our cabin crew. Thank you very much for your attention, and again, welcome aboard. Okay, so that is that. Then let's go ahead, select our QNH. We forgot that earlier. 3005 and initial climb to 5,000. Okay, and that's it. So with that, our setup is completed. Might just about do this, but don't really need to. Okay, and we do have a company message. I have a feeling I can open that on the right hand side, because it will probably be our load sheet. But let's see. Yep, load sheet. Compliance with edition number 1. We never got that, so we gotta do things out of here. Okay, so we got 117.8. And the CG is 30.8. Okay, that's a takeoff weight of 128.4. We got 128.4 in here as well, 98 passengers. Okay, and that is a center of gravity of 30.1. That corresponds to about 0.4 down trim. Okay, slash down 0.4. Okay. So, takeoff weight is 128.4, and we did our previous performance using 129.7. That's close enough. I'm happy to keep the takeoff data as it is. Alright, are you ready for the departure briefing then? So, pilot monitoring, it's your turn. JFK 31 left by the JFK 5 departure. First cleared altitude of 5,000, and the MSA for the climb is going to be 3,000. Extra fuel time is 12 minutes. Alright, for the taxi we are going to cross an active runway, which is 4 left, 2 right, so good vigilance is required doing that. Stop margin for rejected takeoff is going to be plenty, even though I didn't have the opportunity to calculate it on the electronic flight back here. Engine outset straight ahead JFK X6, and that is programmed on the Here we go, that's programmed on the fixed page as well as in the secondary flight plan. Immediate return, JFK is our best option, but we do have LaGuardia and Newark available in the area as well. We are underweight, so an immediate return is possible in any case. I don't have any special or non-standard operations, so tell me, what threats do you see for the departure? Right, the main threat I see is the close proximity to the entire area, and that we got to depart with heading select. So after immediately when airborne, it's going to be a right-hand turn heading 090, and we got to remain within 2.5 miles of JFK, which you've already tuned active in the VOR1. That's all threats I see. Okay, I do agree with you. Perhaps another one that I can mention is the complexity of the taxiway system over here. I'm not too familiar with JFK Airport, so we just gotta be sure to take things slow, and if there's anything that we're unhappy with, we are going to stop the airplane and verify our position and our assigned routing, and then we're going to continue. Any questions? No? Very good. Okay, so let's go ahead with the cockpit preparation checklist then. Gear pins and covers removed, fuel quantity 10,900 pounds. Seatbelts on, ADRs, nav, bow ref, QNH 3005. And that's the cockpit preparation checklist complete. Ground cockpit, go ahead. So, can we perform the oxygen test, please? Yes, sir, you can go ahead with the test. Okay. So let's see, the speaker volume is up. Looks like the emergency key isn't even simulated. Normally when you do the test, you first do that test over here, and then you hold that emergency key and then hold the test button again, and it must be a continuous flow, rather similar to what it is in the 737. Also I selected intercom and the continuous transmission over here, so that through the loudspeaker we would hear the noise of the oxygen flowing through the mask through the microphone in the oxygen mask. But looks like that is not simulated in the Fenix. At least we can do oxygen tests here overall, because the fly-by-wire doesn't have them at all at the moment. Okay, so how is our pushback doing? In the works, okay. Good, then let's go ahead with the before start checklist. Park and brake. Set, takeoff speeds and thrust. 31, 31, 32, flex 68. Windows. Closed, beacon on. Before start checklist complete. Cockpit ground. Go ahead. So, please confirm doors and hatches are closed, ground equipment removed, and bypass pin is installed. Okay, we can confirm doors, hatches closed, ground equipment is removed, and pin is installed. Roger, we are clear to push, and the park and brake is set. So, what's going on the ground? How far are they? Looks about ready, I mean. Okay, cool. So, release park and brake, please. Brake released. Are they doing anything? I can hear some sort of rumble, but something is going wrong. What is GSX up to this time? Oh, it's broken now. Okay. Restart Throttle. Look at that, ground speed 30. I'm really afraid, yeah, that it would do exactly this. Okay. I mean, we did move back a bit. So generally speaking, it did perform some sort of a pushback. Not exactly what we wanted. But hey, GSX is always an adventure, is it? Okay then, all the equipment is removed. Park and brake off. Get me that Fenix tuck, please. No tuck available. Come on. Can we do a pushback somehow? No. So now it's completely broken. Or what? Hey, we can move it. Even though with the park and brake set. Yeah, congratulations. Whichever developer is responsible for that, congratulations. Okay then. Engine 2 start. Let's see, we are almost getting onto the line. That was interesting again. GSX at its best. It never gets boring. It never does. Okay. Stop the pushback here, please. So, park and brake set. You're clear to prepare the airplane for taxi and stand by for engine start. That was an interesting... happening there. Again. It's not like GSX is messing these kind of things up for how long now? For a long time. Okay, good start on 2, starting 1. Engine 1 start. Yeah, that program is probably always going to stay interesting. GSX. Ground cockpit. We have 2 good starts. Clear disconnect. Show with the pin on the left side and have a good day. Bye-bye. So, that's 2 good starts. After start checklist, please. NTIs. Off. ECAM status. Checked. Pitch trim. 30%. Rudder trim. Neutral. After start checklist complete. Flight control check. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral. And the rudders. Full left. Full right. Neutral. Okay, clear left side, clear right side. Let's go. Brake check. Pressure 0. So we're going out on Alpha, I believe, and then southbound. You have some more details on the parking chart? No. Okay. Okay, clear left side. Clear right side. Okay, and then we can continue on to the next chart. All the way till Juliet, and then we go left onto Juliet. Alright, so that is looking good so far. Then let's think about it. I don't think anything has changed since we conducted the takeoff briefing, so no updates on that front. Everything stays as it is. So just waiting for the cabin to get ready. Sometimes it's really annoying how easily those flight simulator aircraft are drifting to the side during taxi. In the real world it's much easier to maintain the center line. Okay, Hotel Bravo on the side, that means, yeah, after that we'll turn next left. So over there. Yeah, that's next to the left, Juliet. Okay, and straight after that comes 22 right. So, gotta be careful. We do have crossing clearance, I would say. Clear left side. Clear right side. Strobe light coming on. Let's help our cabin crew. Still not ready. And only when the cabin crew is ready, so when the ECAM is all green, we are officially allowed to start reading the taxi checklist. Obviously, some colleagues just read the checklist down to ECAM memo and then hold that for later, but here we go anyway. Okay, taxi checklist. Flight controls, checked. Flap setting, config 3. Hey, where's my flex temperature gone? We did have flex of 68 degrees in there, didn't we? Maybe it got killed when GSX pushed us into the air. I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, continue the taxi checklist, please. Radar and predictive wind shear, on and auto, engine mode cell, norm, ECAM memo, takeoff no blue, taxi checklist complete. So at this point I'm waiting for the guy to make the bad joke about flying jet blue and saying no blue. Okay, cabin crew, prepare for departure. Certainly the Fenix goes a little nicer through the turns than the fly-by-wire does. I do appreciate that. So just a quick check here. We did plan a PAX off takeoff, okay. And 68 degrees was correct. Lineup checklist. Takeoff runway. 31 left, full length. TCAS. Tara, PAX 1 and 2, off. Lineup checklist complete. So I wouldn't be surprised if I forget to turn on the PAX, since I didn't do a PAX off takeoff in a while. But here we go. Takeoff. So right turn 090. Manflag 68, SRS runway, auto thrust blue. Thrust set. 100 knots, checked. V1, rotate. Positive climb, gear up. Runway track. Okay, pull heading 090. Autopilot. 090 is in. Thrust climb, open climb, auto thrust. Flaps 1. Speed check, flaps 1. Okay, we gotta remain within 2.5 DME JFK, and that is where we are. Very good. Basically turning over the field. Very nice. Lovely. That was a great view on the airport down there. It could definitely accelerate a little bit quicker. The Fenix takes a very long time to accelerate. Fly-by-wire is doing a better job there. Okay, flap 0. Speed checked. Okay. Then let's continue the climb for flight level 210. Set. 21000 blue. So, any neat shortcuts here? Not really, yeah? So, I suppose we don't go to Merit, but the waypoint behind it then. So, direct to Ronzi. Nav. Climb. Okay, we made it. Out, out, and away. The sounds in the Fenix are, well, to be expected, quite a bit better than in the fly-by-wire. But obviously a professional company like Fenix has the resources to do actual recordings on the plane, while I don't know how it works with fly-by-wire. They do have some very good sounds, others not so good, but I do kinda expect that they didn't do a full sound recording using professional equipment on the real plane. Wouldn't be surprised if they actually got quite some sounds from some real pilots. I mean, I know how many real-world sounds I sent to different developers over the time. Okay, passing through 10,000. Let's release passengers as well. So, clear copy. Clear copy. We can clear this as well. And then K-Boss 27. Cruise 210, optimum 380, max 398. 150 miles to run a great circle, 197 to run along our track. That is good. Another feature that I just see on the Fenix that we don't have on the fly-by-wire is the equal time point down here on the nav display, the ETP. Or at least I'm 99% sure I never saw that on the fly-by-wire. But with all these points that I'm just noting, it is worth to say as well that the fly-by-wire could fly the standard Airbus SOP for the absolute majority of the flight. There were only a couple smaller things that the fly-by-wire couldn't do that we normally would do every day, secondary flight plan being the primary one worth mentioning over there. Apart from that, the fly-by-wire is an absolutely awesome airplane. It's just that, as is to be expected, the payware of the Fenix obviously has more features, better sounds, better graphics, stuff like that. But both of them are excellent Airbuses, with the Fenix obviously having the lead over the fly-by-wire. Then again, the Fenix also costs you like $65 or something the likes, while the fly-by-wire comes completely free, which is really, really cool. I mean, let's be honest over here, you could easily sell that fly-by-wire Airbus for quite a bit of money. I'm sure it would easily be worth like $30 or so, probably 40. Just gotta make sure I'm keeping numbers a tiny bit less for the fly-by-wire than for the Fenix, but overall, very, very good airplanes, both of them. Okay, so, set standard. Standard cross-check, passing flight level 182 now. Checked. Okay, how far is it to the Tapa descent? Can't be that far, huh? Yeah, about 80 miles. Suspected that. Alright, cool. Approaching. Speed, vertical speed. So let's just fly that level off, and when the level off is done, then we are going to start our approach preparation. They got runway 27 in use in Boston today. Unfortunately, well, actually, let's see if we can request some weather en route. Maybe it works somehow. Okay, weather, requests. K-boss, meter, send. Let's see if we use the message prompt over here. Maybe that's going to lead us to the target. 1,000 to go. No, not really, huh? Okay, well, in that case, let's just go received messages, weather data. Nah, it still crashes the MCDU. Okay. Did it die completely now? Okay, here we go. That's better. Flight plan is still there, that's probably the most important thing here. Very good. Alt star. And just dimming the displays down a little. They are very bright by default in the Fenix. Much brighter than you can actually get the real ones. Speed alt cruise. Okay, we made it up. Well, okay, so in order to get weather we got to use the My Flight tab over here. This one still works. So Boston 280 at 5, 3 degrees, 2998. Like that. Okay then, so let's go ahead and grab a couple of charts. Boston Logan. Charts, parking gates. That looks like something we'll need. Then we need the general airport chart as well. Like that, okay. Cool, so for the arrival charts we got the Roebuck 3 arrival, runway 27. That's the one over here, and finally we'll have a look at the approach chart, which is going to be the ILS approach 27. Okay, so that's basically what we need. So let's quickly go over everything here. Let's start straight down here. So we started Rusi, which is between 210 and 230. Okay, then we've got Avalon above 17,000, Banky above 16,000, Roebuck at 260 knots between 12 and 190, and that is what we got. Okay, let's scroll a little further. Okay, so then we've got Pravi above 11,000, Jody, so Pravi above 11, Jody. And then for runway 27 we're going to go out here. So that's going to be Cran, 250 knots between 11 and 12. Like that. Then we got Cradle between 8 and 10. Clap, 250 knots at 8,000. And that is what's in here. And then we got Hawk Dude, 210 knots and at 5,000 feet. And from there we'll basically fly onto the ILS. So ILS 27, let's have a look now. So you got AB, that's in here. AB mandatory 6,000 and 210 knots. That's what we have. Then we proceed to Clanny. And Clanny is at 4,000, we have that. on towards Lona at 3000, that's what we have as well, and then on to Ripid. And for Ripid, there is no speed restriction here. Okay, there's just the 17,000 over there as well, or the 1,700 I should say, and that's what we got in here. So route is looking good, and for the missed approach, climb 3000 outbound Boston VOR radial 268 to Bosox and hold. Okay, and here we got 268. Yeah, 268 is correct. Towards Bosox and hold. So that's looking good. Don't need any nav aids. GPS primary Boston 27. Okay, then cabin centroid is good. Speed is good. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of programming now. So we have 280 at 5. 280 at 5. The temperature is 3 and the altimeter is 2998. So 329.98. Okay. Minimum, let's see what we got. 460. And we have 460. Okay, config full, because config 3 is inoperative. And then 2,500 for the engine out acceleration. Okay, that's looking good. 19 minutes extra is good as well. Copy active, and that is all we need. Cool. So, time to do a little bit of landing performance next. So, Boston 27, brake, runway condition code 6. And apply that. So, let's see, arrival fuel 7,000, that means we burn 1,300. So our landing weight is 124.7. 124.7. Looking good. So, let's see, LDA 2,133. Is that actually correct? Is the runway that short in Boston? I mean, is that particular runway that short? Yes, it is. Okay, good. So then low auto brake, idle reverse. Nah, tell you what. Gotta take auto thrust off over here so that our factored landing distance matches for the runway. Okay. So landing performance looks good. I'd say that's pretty much it. So, are you ready for the approach briefing? Yes, sir. Okay, so starting from pilot monitoring once again. Mora for the approach 2,500. Roebuck 3 arrival, ILS 27, minimum is Barrow 460. Go around trajectory is radio 268 outbound Boston VOR towards Bosox. And extra fuel is 19 minutes. Okay, it is going to be an approach using localizer and glide slope modes for a config full landing. Stop margin is about 40 meters in idle reverse and low auto brakes. Planned runway exit is at the end to the right, and for taxi in we got hotspots in the form that we are crossing a couple active runways, so we gotta look out and make sure that we have got crossing clearance for any of the runways concerned. I don't see anything special on non-standard, so which threats do you see for the arrival? Okay, my main threat is the complexity of the airport layout. So we are not regular guests in Boston, we only go there every now and then, and that means we gotta be careful with pretty much the entire taxi instructions. Also, especially going to the gates where JetBlue is parking is something that we don't do very often, so ramp congestion together with rather difficult navigation on US ramps in general is going to be the topic for today. Yep, I agree, and that's actually the only one I have as well. So how are we going to mitigate against this? Well, the basic action for us is going to be that we taxi slowly and stop if we're unsure about where we're going. Only when we're 100% sure of where we're going, we can accelerate and speed up a little bit. Otherwise, just take it slow, and that should be all for us today. Okay, any questions on the approach briefing? No? Great, then I'm going to talk to the passengers. Ladies and gentlemen, from flight deck, this is your captain once again. We are going to leave at cruising altitude in a couple of moments and start our descent towards Boston. The weather over there at the moment, clear skies, temperature 3 degrees with a light wind from the west. Would like to thank you very much for choosing JetBlue for today's flight. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and we look forward to welcoming you all again on board of a future service. Thank you very much for your attention, have a nice and safe onward journey, and we look forward to see you all again in the future. Okay, passengers are dealt with, then I'd say we are pretty much done. So, what else can we do? Not all that much, to be honest, so we finally got a little time to sit back and relax a little, though I'm pretty sure it's not going to be for too long. Okay, let's see, anything for us to think about, anything special? Not really, huh? So let's have a quick look. We are parking at Pier Charlie over here, so vacating via Kilo, and crossing the runway on Bravo, I suppose. Or crossing the runway in Kilo, right on to Bravo, Foxtrot, Charlie, and that is how the real airplane taxied. If we look at the parking gates, we'll be parking either on 30 or on 32. 30, I believe. Parking on 30. Okay. Any questions about that? No? Great. Okay. So, top of descent literally any moment. Let's go ahead and start going down to something like 11,000 or so. Descent alt flight level 110 blue. Set altimeters. QNH 2998 cross check passing 20,900. Now. Checked. Something I particularly appreciate about the Fenix is that humming sound that we hear right now. That is a sound which you get on quite some airliners whenever the engines are not exactly synchronous. And when that happens, basically what you get is a little feedback from the sound there. Thrust idle. So what you get is a little bit of feedback from the sound, and that causes this humming sound. Normally you can easily overcome that as a pilot by just slightly adjusting thrust on one of the two engines in order to eliminate the feedback. And then straight away you're back to normal ops, if you want to call it like that. And quite an airport down there. Looks really big indeed. What is it? Right over Provi. Okay. If that is over Provi, then that's probably got to be Providence? No. That is closer to New York. Well, I would guess that we're above that low-cost New York airport. What's it called again? Can't seem to remember its name. I really can't remember it. Would be interesting. I'm gonna look it up after the flight. Speed. Okay, so approaching 18,000. Let's turn the lights on, and we'll sit the passengers. We'll seat the passengers as well already. Let's just take a little bit of the pressure out. Another thing that I really appreciate about the Fenix is all those little scratch marks and all the fingerprints we got on the screens. Really adds to the immersion, and I'm honest with you, I hate it when people touch the screens in real life. But in the simulator, it looks kinda neat to have something like that. Even though I do have to say, when I'm taking a seat in an airplane and there's fingerprints on the displays, I always clean them. I always clean them because I just hate it. Because as you can see right now, you know, you can't read a thing when the sun is shining onto those fingerprints on the displays. That used to be a problem with the Boeing displays, but the Airbus displays are so much darker than the Boeing displays that it sometimes really is hard to read them with normal sunglasses alone. I've been using my sunglasses for 5 years now without any problems, but in the Airbus I sometimes just need to take them off because, yeah, those screens are just not bright enough, and with the sunglasses on I can't read them anymore. Under certain situations. That's like when the sun is directly in front of you and therefore your eyes are really trying to adjust to the very high level of brightness of the sun, and then you got the pretty dark Airbus cockpit all on its own already, and then you got those dark screens. It just makes it very hard to read a thing on them. Alright, let's descend a little bit further. Say like 8,000, set 8,000 blue. Okay, so, of course that star is getting us pretty slow here, 260 knots. What we could do is we could just say air traffic control wanted us to fly a little faster, so we'll go select the 300. That did happen to me every now and then already in the US, that they instructed us a speed, then we approached the speed restriction on the star, and then it was always rather hard to find a gap on the frequency to find out if they want us to remain at the instructed speed or slow down in accordance with the star. And my experience with that so far really is that it's 50-50. In some cases they expect you to slow down with the star, in other cases they say like, no, I told you speed, so maintain that. And typically those who tell you to maintain what they instructed you will be rather unhappy if you actually ask them on the frequency, because oh, frequency congestion and stuff. But with US air traffic controllers, just don't argue with them, just tell like, okay, roger. Otherwise you are for sure going to get a phone number. And let's be honest here, how many of you actually want such a number? Probably a couple flight simulators just to check what it's like, but I tell you, you don't want one. And since I know a couple of you will be asking, no, I never got a phone number from US air traffic control. Okay, so anything left that we could do? Not really. Sometimes that's incredible. It really doesn't take that long to do an approach setup in the Airbus, and then the thing just is so automated. It just flies and flies and flies, and you don't really have to do anything on it. Like now. The plane is simply flying along, and I don't need to do a thing. Okay, I do think that's Boston coming into view on the left side there. All the way up to the bay. And by the way, I do remember that video where I flew the lobster departure and called it like lipster. Yeah, my apologies for that. In that past video, it is of course a lobster departure. Sometimes those US routes just get you crazy as a European. Over here we've got nice routes like Domux or like Income. And then over in the US they come with Star Wars, Disney, Lobster. They even have a freedom arrival. I mean, hey. America. It's a really nice country to fly to though. I really appreciate all those layovers I'm getting. Especially Florida these days. Well, these days anyway. Just recently I had a lovely tour of Miami at 25 degrees centigrade, that is. Just to be sure not to confuse any of my American friends here. Not that you think I would appreciate 25 Fahrenheit, but I do appreciate 25 centigrade. That was just lovely being over at Miami Beach watching the sunset. Really enjoyable, really enjoyable. Okay, so we're approaching 10,000, might just dial the speed back a little, so let's go back to managed. Thrust idle. So what's that restriction? Between 10 and 8, okay. So we'll just let it descend down now, and that's it. Okay, so fasten belts on, constraints, ILS on both sides. Then going down, GPS primary, high accuracy, mode selector norm, and TCAS below. Okay, great. Approach checklists. Barrel ref, QNH 2998, seatbelts on, minimum, baro 460, auto brake, low, engine mode cell, norm. Approach checklist complete. Speed. Of course, when thinking about it, there is one big advantage of the Fenix over the fly-by-wire, probably the biggest. This one. Really hope fly-by-wire is going to add the folding table eventually, but seeing their past history and seeing the meaning of the table for Airbus aircraft, I am very sure we're gonna get that. At some point. Not necessarily saying immediately, but at some point I'm very, very sure we are going to get that tray table. Okay, so no weather, flat terrain, so we don't need any selections on here. I'm going to stay on the weather. Maybe you can take the terrain. Not that it would make any difference here. Okay, let's go into a radar vector here, into a little shortcut. Left turn 020. Heading and vertical speed. 1000 to go. Let's bring it down to 5. 5000 blue. Okay, sequence flight plan, extend centerline. Loner. 091 looks about okay. Insert. Pull heading. Looking good. So 5000 over there, might be a little bit late, but let's just maintain high for now, so that we are at least out to the bay before we start getting low and loud. That must be a lovely approach down here. Right over the beach and over those houses. That must be really lovely. If any of you knows what airport that is, and if there is a good add-on available for it, that'd surely be appreciated. Okay, flying out the old water. Let's go ahead and help it descend a little. Down to 3000, thrust idle, open descent. Let's do a left turn 360. Okay, that heading is looking good, brings us straight to the 10-mile final. Exactly like I'd wanted. Somebody asked me underneath the comments of one of my past videos if I could do a little tutorial on how to vector yourself. Now, I am going to actually make that tutorial because it does sound like an interesting topic, but for now just a couple points here that are worth noting. And that is, most importantly, when you are vectoring yourself, don't go out too far and don't come out or don't come in too swift. So something like a 10-mile final or so is usually what our traffic control is going to give you. So just aim for that. Lona looks like a good waypoint here to me. That's just outside 10 miles, so exactly perfect. 3,000 feet above ground is also a good intercept level, so that's something for you to aim at. Obviously, depending on the location, you might get different vectors as well. For example, in Copenhagen, they often vector you into a 6-mile final. But like that, there's just different ways of doing things. But usually 10 miles out, 3000 AGL is a good point to find yourself at. Okay, minus 1000. We are currently flying pretty fast for the base lag. Normally you'd do like 180 knots or so, but there's no traffic. So we're just assuming that we are number one in traffic today, and then things can actually go pretty fast in the US. It's either going to be very slow, like 160, or very fast, like 250 for as long as you can. Both is going to work, really. Okay, 5 miles, activate approach phase. Approach phase active. Speed coming back nicely, let's do 500 feet a minute here. I'll tell you what, let's make our lives easy. Thrust idle open descent. Speed coming back nicely. We are a little bit below the glide, so that's overall a very good position for our approach. Going to start the final turn around 1.5 miles out. Then it should hopefully become one constant turn onto the center line. A little marking down here on the ND really helps with that. Okay, flaps 1. Speed check, flaps 1. Something where I really prefer the fly-by-wire over the Fenix is the rate of descent on final. So 10,000 feet, 250 knots idle thrust. Speed alt star. Fly slope localizer blue, cat 3 dual, autopilot 1 and 2, lock star. So that should be a pretty nice turn onto the final there. Okay, so what I was about to say is 10,000 feet, 250 knots idle thrust. The Fenix gives you almost 2,500 feet a minute. The fly-by-wire gives you something about 1,500 feet a minute. The latter is correct, so the fly-by-wire has the better drag model on the descent there. Fenix has a lot of drag. Lock. I'm really hoping that eventually with the block I don't know what update we are going to get an improved drag model there. Really hoping for it. Glass slope star. Go around altitude 3000 set. So, looking very good. Glide slope. Another difference between the two, checked. Another difference between the two is that the drag model on the deceleration on approach is nicer with fly-by-wire than it is with Fenix. That's, again, something they need to work on a bit. Now the flare, I do prefer fly-by-wire as well in the flare over Fenix, but I did make that clear on past videos, I believe, so let's not go into that as well. Okay, flaps 2. Speed checked, flaps 2. Gear down. flaps 3. Speed check, flaps 3. Flaps full. Speed check, flaps full. Landing checklist, ECAM memo, landing no blue. Landing checklist complete. Cat 1, manual flight. Okay, runway is at 12 o'clock. Checked. Okay, looking pretty good. Stabilized here. The manual flight dynamics on the Fenix are obviously still superb. Really like the way it handles. Even though fly-by-wire is quite good as well with those.
100 above.
Checked.
500. Minimum.
Continue. Land. Spoilers, reverse green. Decel. $70 knots. 39 minutes on the watch, nice. Manual brakes. Okay, vacating the runway. Tell you what, I'm gonna leave the strobe lights on since we're crossing another runway any moment. Then we'll do the rest of the things as soon as we are on the parallel taxiway here. Okay, crossing 2 right, clear right side, clear left side, looking very good. So we'll start the timer to prepare for a single engine taxi. Alright. And start the APU. Okay, I think we are familiar with the taxi routing now. Coming in via Bravo, left Foxtrot, Alpha, gate 30. Does GSX work? I'm a little hesitant, but let's give it a try. Okay, I do believe we have roughly 2 minutes, so as soon as the APU is up, we can shut down engine number 2. Okay, 10 knots, we'll start that left-hand turn. APU is there, ELAC hydraulic pump on, and engine 2 shut down. So gate 30 is just over here. The ground stuff stands ready, very good. Lights off. Here we are, Charlie 30. A320 is on the guidance system. Excellent. Looks like we need a little bit of thrust to keep moving. Perfect, here we are. Okay, park brake set. APU bleed. Cabin crew, all doors in park. Engines running down. 20%. Four degrees. I'll leave the APU running, otherwise it's getting a little short. Okay, slides disarmed. Parking checklist, please. Park and brake out shocks. All shocks are in, so brake released. Engines off, wing light off, fuel pumps off. Parking checklist complete. Alright guys, that's it. That was our flight with the Fenix A320 after flying the fly-by-wire for a bit. So how's my overall impression then? Well, I gotta say, obviously, the Fenix is the payware product, and thus it is no surprise that it is superior in many points. But there are some, like for example the drag on the descent or flap 3 landings, where the fly-by-wire is actually the superior aircraft. Now, overall we really need to emphasize that fly-by-wire, for being freeware, is an awesome aircraft. It is really awesome. I've never seen a freeware as good as the fly-by-wire, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to see one for a long time to come. Maybe the fly-by-wire A380 is going to top the A320. We'll see. Even though we need to keep in mind that the A320 had several years now of continuous development and continuous evolving, whereas the 380, who knows? We'll surely stay open-minded about both of them, and with that, many of you are probably going to ask the question, so is it worth purchasing the Fenix when I already have the fly-by-wire? Well, my answer to that is obviously yes, it is. There is one argument that I often see in the flight simulation world that I personally don't really let count, and that is, it's a different airplane. The answer is no, it's different engines and different winglets and a tiny bit of improvements, but it is not a completely different airplane. We are talking about the same basic A320 here, just in different variants. So, that much in mind, is it worth spending all that money for the Fenix when there is already the excellent freeware fly-by-wire around? In my opinion, yes. Why is that? Well, mostly because the Fenix just adds that quality that you really only get with payware aircraft. Be it the better sounds, the little bit more complete electronic flight back, or let it be the overall quality of the models and the textures. In my opinion, the Fenix comes at a very competitive price point. Most Microsoft Flight Simulator aircraft do. So, is it worth getting? Absolutely. However, is the fly-by-wire an absolutely awesome airplane? Yes, it is, without any doubt. Both are great simulations. The Fenix adds those finishing touches that the fly-by-wire doesn't have, but the fly-by-wire is still an amazing aircraft, and you could easily sell that for 30 or 40 bucks. Alright, and that's going to be it for this video. That is my conclusion on those two aircraft. I would like to thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, do let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think on my final conclusion here, and if you agree or disagree. In any case, this is me signing off for today. Thank you very much. And if you are up for more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and be sure to leave a like on YouTube, as it does really help out. Finally, if you really love what I'm doing, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Until then, see you all again on the next one, regardless which of the different Airbus models you choose to fly.